Hey everybody, welcome into the New England Ski Journal Basecamp Podcast, sponsored by Country Ski and Sport. I'm Mike Speechin, your host, with my co-host,
Keith Pearson.
Keith,
How's it going?
winter is, well, I guess it's not officially here, but the weather is officially here.
Yeah, we had enough of a run that one rain day is not going to hurt us too badly. Back on our feet.
You know what? I'm going with what I've always said. A little rain, we already had snow, it's just making the base better.
That's right. That's exactly the refreeze, right? Plus, we needed to build those snowmaking ponds up, and sounds like that was accomplished.
I have never, in my 40-year New England ski industry career, heard a resort come back and say, well, we've got water now to make snow.
Right.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's it just goes to show you like how weird this weather's been. Like where the summer felt like rain pretty heavily, at certain stretches, and then they just turn the water off August, September, October, November.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot believe how dry the rivers and lakes were. But
Made for easy hiking.
And made for super easy hiking.
That's right.
But everything's come back. I mean, snow guns are going. I can't believe, early and mid-December, even all of the Pennsylvania resorts, the Round Tops, the Liberties were even open. I don't remember the last time that happened.
Yeah, Blue Hill, earliest opening in 15 plus years for them. So that was great for locally. Obviously, we're all open.
I was talking to Dan Egan on something. He's out at Big Sky right now. And
he gets around.
Yeah, he gets around. He's doing one of his clinics out there. But I was talking to Dan, and I told him Blue Hill was open. He almost came through the phone going, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, I do not remember the last time they were open this early.
Yeah, and what was it, 2-3 weeks ago that they got a shipment of new snowmaking guns?
I know.
So, I mean, they moved quickly and were able to get some temperatures that were favorable and at least able to get beginner terrain open. Opening the doors is so big. You can't wait until, everything's open. Now we can finally, we have snow over everything. Now we can finally open.
Well, we had Molly and Jeff on here. I want to congratulate them right now.
Absolutely.
Because you know what? You guys just made it happen. And we applaud you. We congratulate you. It's a good Christmas for everybody.
Yes. It's one of those things, options are good, and even if it's local, if you don't have the time to break away and go on that vacation, we'll be talking about vacations in, 2 minutes or so?
Vacations?
Yeah.
Where are you going this year?
I don't know. I'm not going anywhere big, anywhere far and wide. But who we're going to have on might plant some seeds. Let's put it that way.
Hold it. I heard our employer here, Eric, U.S. editor of New England Ski Journal, I heard you were doing a precursor for the Olympics and going to Europe.
I did not receive that email.
Okay, I heard it's a reconnaissance trip.
I would certainly enjoy that.
Okay, 2 weeks, he said.
I would take that.
I'm trying for you, Keith.
It's tough, It's been a tough year to get into the season so far with life.
Well, you know what? Last year, I was jonesing to ski, but I couldn't because of a new knee at this point in the game. Mm-hmm. This year, I can tell you, the turns have been really, really good. I mean, top to bottom runs, fluid, just carving it up. I can't wait to get in the trees and stuff. But the skiing's been really, really good.
And how's the knee been?
The knee, I don't feel anything. I'm stronger now. I skied just the other day, and I
Where at?
Out of Gunstock. And it was unbelievable top to bottom, slalom turns, turn to turn, finishing every turn off. Everything's right on. No
Nice.
issue. I feel strong as can be. But, we're coming in now to anybody that wants to plan a trip needs to get it planned now.
Yes.
Okay. Late season, you might be able to get away with something. But, with the mega passes, with people wanting to plan their holiday getaways or their vacation getaways, there's still openings. But, we all want to know how to get the information about where to go if we don't know.
Yeah, it can be over-analysis paralysis. I'm trying to figure out where to go. Do I want to, go somewhere on a long drive, or do I want to fly? Do I want to go west? Do I want to go across the Atlantic? And yes, which pass do I have plays a huge role into that. But I think, Heather Burke's website here that we're going to discuss goes a long way towards helping that.
Well, yeah.
Make those decisions
easier. I agree. Well, it's sort of like you and your girlfriend, okay? Mm-hmm. You saying, oh, my goodness, I've been to Snowbird. Let's go to Snowbird. And she's going, well, that's not all I want to do is Snowbird. And you say, no, I've been there. It's been great. She needs a spot to go vet some of this.
Right.
Okay? So it gives the family the ability to vet, to make sure these areas have what everybody needs, not just Keith Pearson.
Right. And yes, that's a huge thing. Between 8 and 4, I'll be content pretty much anywhere. But what's going to happen after 4 o'clock or after 2 o'clock? If, for those who, only like to do a run or two after lunch and then get out of the hill and get on down to the après side.
Well, the après side or
the hot tub side?
The hot tub side or the restaurant side. It's tough to find this information. You go to Park City, Utah, okay, where both Park City Resort and Deer Valley are sitting there. There's a lot of options. What's this, having somebody that's been there that you trust that is a skier is better than Yelp.
Oh, absolutely. And it's also better than going to each individual resort website, which is obviously
marketing.
Yeah, which is marketing. So give me a independently sourced review.
Yeah, I mean that's what we would all love in this day and age of marketing and we'll say alternate facts on things. It's kind of nice to be talking here with somebody that is a journalist, was a journalist, that takes everything in true journalism thought process to dissect what these areas and the areas around them offer.
Yeah, it's she still has that journalism at heart. You don't lose that. I can tell you that much right now. She's going to give an honest review and kind of gear towards what you're looking for. You might ski the trees. I might prefer groomers. You might prefer flat. I prefer steep. And it just gears towards a certain way.
Exactly. Well, we'll be right back after this break with Heather Burke from FamilySkiTrips.com, and we're going to find out from Heather what it's all about. We'll be right back after this. The Button Ski Hanger is a patented ski storage fixture that safely stores alpine skis regardless of length, width, or shape. This means that your fat powder skis can now be stored next to your narrower carving skis, your race skis, and your kid skis. For more information, visit their website, buttonskirack.com. The button ski hanger is also available for purchase at amazon.com. So make your purchase today. The button ski hanger is simply better for your skis.
And yep, Mike, whenever you want to start.
Welcome back, everybody, into the Basecamp Podcast. Now joining us, Heather Burke from FamilySkiTrips.com. Hi, Heather. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. I am well. Winter is upon us.
It's about time, isn't it?
It is.
We deserve a full winter. Everybody does, for a change.
Agreed.
So, Heather, why don't you tell us where you grew up? How did skiing become such a big part of your life?
Yeah, growing up, skiing was not an option for me, and now I'm so delighted that was the case. My mom taught me skiing at age 3 at Gunstock in New Hampshire. She was a ski instructor on weekends, and so holidays and weekends, we were at Gunstock skiing. Little did I know at the time that my future husband was skiing on the same slopes as me. Fast forward when I was 12, after my parents' divorce, my new stepfather had this great plan to move us to Vermont. And he bought a ski lodge in Smugglers called the Red Fox. He thought this would afford us a lot more skiing, and that couldn't be further from the truth. We were making beds and making food and serving people, these bus loads that would come in. So it was a lot of work, but my brothers and I learned to make a fast bunk bed on powder days. So
that's awesome. Well, two things here. First off, I was at Gunstock yesterday, logging some miles and laps. It was fantastic. So sort of thinking about you there. And I've spent many a week or weekend at the Red Fox in the old days. So there's a lot of connection there.
That's cool. And it was a converted old church. And I think that the gods would roll over in their graves if they saw what happened during college weeks at the Red Fox. It was a good time.
It was a lot of fun. Back when skiing, the romance of skiing was real.
Yes.
Can you give us an overview of your credentials and so on?
Yeah, so I was always a journalist. I studied journalism at the University of Vermont. And after graduating, I married Greg and we had a young family. And I started writing about our ski adventures. I also wrote about how complex the sport is for someone who didn't grow up in skiing. So I'd write tips and tricks, and I started getting picked up in publications. I wrote for Snow Country. I wrote for the Burlington Free Press. Then I wrote the Maine Sunday Telegram ski column for 10 years. Then went on to the Boston Globe and wrote the Boston.com blog for another 10 years. I wrote for the New England Ski Journal, which was a pleasure. So it was just super fun to take my love and my ability to write and produce content and help other people get out on the slopes.
What made you decide to kind of branch off on your own and kind of create a spot that the website has become?
Right. So it was 1998. The web was in its infancy. And my husband, Greg, was like, well, not only should you, write these articles, but we should put them on this website and populate it. And maybe it'll help people plan their trips. So we'd take our kids every weekend to a different mountain and I'd write about it. And Greg would take these beautiful photos and we would publish them on our site. And that site now has over 500 pages and 292 ski reviews.
That's amazing.
Right.
Amazing.
Who do you gear it towards? What is when you're writing? Who's your target person?
So I think I'm talking to the trip planner, which is typically the mom. But then there are couples that it might be the guy trying to surprise his girlfriend with a romantic ski trip. But I'm talking to the person that wants to plan a trip because it's challenging. You've got the gear, you've got the weather, and where to go and where to stay. So ski trips are our passion, but they're a challenge to put together. So Greg and I hope we can help people with that. Just break it down a little bit.
Well, how many trips do you guys take a year to
Right. Well,
build
so
this?
we raised our kids skiing. They're off now on their own. Our goal this year is to ski 58 new ski areas.
Wow.
Just this year alone.
Yeah, I threw down that I wanted to ski our age in days, not like Klaus Obermeyer, who wanted to ski his age in miles per hour. That gets dangerous.
Yeah.
Especially
Um,
now.
yeah, yeah, but that's our goal for this winter.
So
Do what you love.
58 new ones.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, that's
I want to ask you,
traveling far and wide.
yeah, where is this taking you where you're finding 58 new ones? What
Right. So in the
continents?
30 years we've been doing this, we've skied most of North America, most of the US and Canada. So now we're going further afield to the Alps. And in the Alps, I mean, Austria is the size of Maine, but it has 400 ski areas in proximity to one another. So there's a lot of skiing there to be had. And so we love putting together a ski safari. Greg does all the research. He starts in May putting
Right.
together these trips where we can ski sometimes 2 ski areas in a day. So it's our passion. It's fun, and we love to share it as content on social media to inspire other people to maybe follow our tracks.
I think it's Keith. They need Sherpas to go with them. We're in.
You are
We're
not
in.
the first to put in your job application to be our baggage handler.
I'm not surprised at all.
You mentioned your kids. This is truly a family affair, right? They're involved also.
It absolutely has been. From just like when I was young, it wasn't optional for them. We were going to a different New England ski area every weekend. Mom was writing about it. Greg was taking photos. And the kids definitely missed some birthday parties. And our son couldn't play basketball because that's a winter sport and he's very tall. But now I think they are such accomplished skiers. And by the time they were teenagers, they'd skied over 60 resorts in North America. So and we would engage them. My daughter loved ski fashion, so I'd ask her to report on the fashion at each mountain. Aspen loved that. And Ian would report on the terrain park and the tubing hill. So they were my little roving reporters, and it was truly a family affair.
How do you feel? That having a multi-generation situation like this, how does this parlay into the information for the listener or for your clients?
Yeah, I can't think of another sport that you can do with your parents and your children. I mean, we've skied with Greg's dad and my mom and our kids and my brother and Greg's brother. We can't go out and play soccer together. So that's what is so cool about skiing, and that you can do it well into your senior years. And you can start at age 3. Again, I don't know of many sports that allow that that opportunity.
How do you pair people with certain resorts, and
So
what might
people reach out
best
to
suit them?
us. Yeah, we ask them what their ability is, first of all, because they don't need to go to Big Sky, Montana, one of our favorites, but that has some real high-end terrain. So I wouldn't send somebody there if it's their first trip out west and they're comfortable with just greens and blues. So we try to make sure people, share with us, what are their goals? Do they want to ski all day, or are they more like, oh, I love a little shopping or après or a spa? So when people reach out to us and ask about where they want to go, we ask them a bunch of questions first.
Matchmaker.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I like that.
That it could be the new buzz line.
Yeah, yeah, and we definitely caution people not to take their kids on a big trip.
Mhm.
We didn't take our kids to the Alps because that trip alone is exhausting. So take them locally, and then maybe take them to Canada for kind of a, European style vacation. So start slow before you go big.
How when you do you kind of debrief after the trip and kind of pick their brain about what they liked, what they didn't like about the
We love getting feedback from friends and followers that go on trips. We encourage that and love that. And also, if we recommended a place from 4 or 5 years ago, we want to hear, is that hotel or that ski lodge still up to par?
which is going to be one of those things. How do you stay up to date? Because if you're hitting 50 places a year, 50 new
Right.
places a year,
Right?
kind of maintaining what's the
Yeah,
most recent place.
it's challenging. So we just do our best to keep a pulse on what's happening in the industry.
Um, that's I need to change my careers here. That's all I know.
Well, I should say we are paid peanuts as ski journalists. You both know that.
I've heard
So
that.
it truly is a labor of love.
You got to get in the podcast world because we're 6 or 7 figure guys here.
Okay, see, it's all about the videos.
Exactly. So as people are requesting information or coming to you for advice, how has the mega passes and stuff of that nature affected it? Are you still getting those people coming to you?
So the megapass industry is amazing. It's such good value for frequent skiers, but for the family that's just getting into skiing, it's very challenging. And to tell them that they need to buy a season's pass in April for a trip that they haven't even crystallized for next December, it's challenging. So we advise people as best we can. Like I said, the megapass is awesome, but it also sometimes we'll steer a family uh, to go to an independent mountain with their family and get a great ski and stay package at, say, Grand Targhee, or in New England, at maybe Magic Mountain, just because it's the Epic and Icon passes are fantastic, like I said, for people that ski a lot and know the industry, but for young families, it can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah, when we start reaching the threshold of 200 to 300 plus per day, per
Yes.
skier, my wife and I were up at Spruce Peak over Labor Day, and she goes, well, if you're staying at Spruce Peak, do you still have to buy a lift ticket? I go, oh yeah. So it's the double whammy of sorts. So have you seen any movement to Europe and up into Canada because of exchange rates? Are you seeing more movement that way because of the pricing?
Right. Well, just to clarify, we don't provide tours. We just
Right.
advise people on where they should go. We do not see people going to Europe, but we do see people, and particularly this year with the exchange rate, I think people should be looking at Canada. It's great value. It's 30% off. And New Englanders can drive to Quebec and ski Mont Saint Anne and Le Massif. So I definitely think people should be looking at Quebec as a drive-to destination and looking at the Canadian Rockies. There's so much skiing there, and you're a little off-grid where some of the Colorado I-70 corridor has become saturated with so many skiers.
Sure.
Let's come back to the area, and where do you recommend people go to just kind of, are you into this relationship or not? Let's kind of just start with that, the couple. Where would you recommend for them?
So the couple in New England, I wax poetic about Stowe. I just think it's one of the most romantic ski areas in New England. It has the charm for après ski and just great terrain. So that's a favorite of mine. But then North Conway's fun too, with Wildcat and Attitash, two very different mountains, and North Conway's just bustling with activity. So those are two cool places to go as a couple. Or Sugarbush, the Mad River Valley is charming. It's just authentic alpine. So those are great spots. And then for families, I think Sunday River and Okemo do a superb job. They make tons of snow, and they really have choreographed how to go as a family and not be overwhelmed with choices and difficulty finding ski camp and such.
So that's fantastic, because I truly agree with those sentiments about all those areas. We're in New England, of course, but we're close to the Poconos. We're close to, Tannerville, Hunter, or over into the Adirondacks. What about over there for the families?
So I haven't skied there much. I prefer going to Canada, just as I said, for the savings. And also it's just a European-esque experience. You can drive the kids to Quebec City, or as a couple, you can go to Quebec City, and you've got Mont Saint Anne and Le Massif just so close by. And you feel like you're in this charming Parisian village in the winter. Also Tremblant, just north of Montreal. That's a very cool Disney-esque village with good terrain. It can be cold in Canada, eh? But it's
Hey.
but it's 30% off.
Well, I want to go back to Le Massif. I believe in my heart, it's one of the best ski areas here in the Northeast. Can you give the listener a quick view of what it's like up there skiing down to the St. Lawrence?
Sure, I love Le Massif because, as you say, you can park at the top at the summit, and you're skiing down to the glorious St. Lawrence River in the winter. The ski area was taken over by the owner of Cirque du Soleil, so his lifts are phenomenal. He has treehouse lodging, or you can take a train to Le Massif from Bay St. Paul, which is a cute little village, very Canadian. Most people speak French, which is fun. It's rather exotic to be in such a French region. So I think Le Massif is incredible. They actually added to the summit so that they could have a Super G and GS terrain, which was crazy. They made their mountain taller
That's like
back in the 2000s. Yeah,
that's like 2,600 vert. That's
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, single lifts longer than anything here in New England.
Yes, and it's cold, but cold and snow are a good combo.
It's funny how you have a base area in the double digits, for around
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
and the view is phenomenal. It's I mean, if you skied Lake Tahoe, that has its own cool aspect where you're skiing towards the lake, but skiing down towards the St. Lawrence is phenomenal, and you can also ski nearby Mount St. Anne.
all right. Here's my big question: going out west, what
Yes.
should I bring? What should I rent when I'm out there? Take me through those steps because it is one of those things. It seems like it's a barrier for people. I know I have never taken my stuff out there.
Okay, so and it's one of the most popular pages on our website, how to pack. So I have the page on how to pack for a weekend, in the car, and how to pack for a week out west or the Alps, because people really get crippled over packing. And so I absolutely recommend people have their own ski boots and have their own ski bag. Even the kids, you need to have systems, and your bag you should have a checklist. I have a printable checklist. I'm all about organization because skiing has so many different aspects to it. But bringing your own ski boots and wearing them around the house before you go, I think is key. If your feet are happy, you're good. You can rent skis. Ski Butlers does a great job. They'll bring it right to your condo and make sure you're all set up. So whether you carry or ship your own skis or bring them is up to you. But I think having your own boots and obviously your outfit are so important. And throw in a swimsuit in case there's a nice outdoor heated pool.
Or hot tub.
Or hot tub.
Or hot tub. Exactly. Well, I've spent a lot of time. I lived out west. I've traveled out west a zillion times. Keith has not had that pleasure to spend as much time. I guess my question is, for somebody like Keith and his family, how do you get them over the trepidation of saying, hey, it's just as much fun to go west as it is to go up to Sugarloaf or Saddleback?
Right. Well, and back to the Mega Pass, if you have an Epic or an Icon Pass that you've purchased so that you can ski several places in New England, it's good out west too. So it's just an obvious go west. And I would say that although people knock the East for being icy and so on and so forth, I've had some of my best ski days in the Northeast, but skiing out west is phenomenal. Big blue sky, softer, drier snow, and the mountains are phenomenal. The terrain, Vail continues to be one of my favorites, even though it's gotten quite busy. There's no better ski mountain than Vail. It is just a perfect mountain with so much terrain, 5,000 acres. So yeah, the Western experience is just unique and special. Nice, arid, dry climate. Doesn't get as cold as it is in New England. Once you go west, you find that it's pretty special out there.
What about culturally? I mean, like I said, I've lived out there. Taos is, my soul home. What do you feel culturally is different out west than here in the East?
Yeah, the Westerners are just a little more laid back. The skiing is a little more relaxed. The terrain is more wide open. In New England, we have more narrow trails. And out west, it's just these big open boulevards, snowfields. So it's a totally different experience, and you owe it to yourself to go. Having said that, I think with young kids, it's best to wait, like I said, until they're good little travelers, that they're eager to go further afield, because it can be exhausting and expensive loading everybody on a plane.
How old were your kids when you first went out?
Well, it was an occupational hazard that I was writing for the Boston Globe, and they wanted me to cover more ground. But they were 9 and 10 when we went out west. I think I remember my daughter saying this trip was like 24 pillows and 8 ski areas, but it was awesome. And they look back at how we did tackle a lot of terrain and had a lot of fun.
Well, that's kind of funny because my son was 2 when I took him to Taos and also to Vail. We were on
Wow.
we were closing both areas up, and thank goodness my wife was a trooper because I went skiing. You know, it was a tough flight originally when he blew up halfway to Taos
Right.
mentally, but
Yeah.
there's that time.
Yes.
So have you traveled to Japan at all?
That is the one place, and people are surprised. Greg and I have not been to Japan yet. I guess you could say we're traveling in concentric circles. There's so many places in North America, South America, and Europe that we have yet to ski. And so we've not made it to Japan. We will. We just haven't made it there yet.
It seems like Indy seems to be making their big push to get North Americans over to Japan.
Yes.
You know, out
Yes.
of the past leaders.
Well, yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, we had Kim Reichhelm on last year, and
Love her.
she is a sweetheart. Well, she actually took the podcast from Baja, of course.
Right.
You know, as she's sitting there and having fun. But you know, she speaks so highly of Japan and going over there because she loves it.
Yes, I think culturally it sounds amazing. Now, I have Kim to thank for saying you have got to go to Chile in our summer. And I still, but I love summer here. I'm so glad I did. Skiing at Portillo is one of the most amazing places we've been. I mean, here we are having dinner with the U.S. ski team, and I'm like, hey, Greg, that's Michaela in the hot tub across from us. I mean, and it's just, you're at super high elevation. The Andes Mountains are incredible. So thank you, Kim, for sending me to Portillo. And we still have more of South America to ski. So the list just keeps getting longer.
Well, yeah, I mean, there needs to be time and the funds to take care of it,
Yeah.
twofold. But yeah, we had Portillo on this past summer, which was a great podcast because I have never been to Portillo. It was one of
Yeah, it's a magical place because everybody at Portillo is staying at the base. It's almost like a private ski area, this little hotel on a beautiful lake, and the towering Andes around you. They have really clever lifts, slingshot lifts that can go up avalanche prone terrain. It's like a cruise ship because you breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and this beautiful dining room looking at the mountain. It's just a really special place. And we included that trip with going back to Santiago and then exploring a little bit of the Chilean wine region, which I have to say was pretty lovely too.
Mixing skiing and opera, not a bad combo.
Not a bad thing.
They go hand in hand.
Yes, they do. Thank you.
Yes, they do.
How do you still find yourself enjoying this adventure just as much as you did when you first started it, or is
That's a
it?
good question. Yes, yeah, it's changed. Journalism in particular has changed so much. I used to write for Snow Country these 3,000 word articles, and they grab a couple of Greg's photos, and now it's vlogging and social media. So that paradigm has shifted, and it's exciting. And yes, the more we ski different places, the more I want to ski more different places. You know, when I grew up, I was skiing the same mountain every day, and I loved that. And I love that people have a home mountain. But I love the adventure that we've created for ourselves. It's exciting.
It is exciting. So you talked about blogs and stuff like that. You wrote for Snow Country. I would assume Jackson was there at the time with you.
Yes.
Okay. So when you look at the change in the media, do you think influencers and such have the same impact as what was written in Powder, Skiing, Snow Country? Is it the same impact?
Yeah. See, as a true journalist, I'm a little saddened by the fact that we've gotten to just a couple of words in a photo, or a video. I think that doesn't give the depth. I used to research stories in great detail, and fact check and all that. And some of that has just gone away. And yeah, influencers are just doing this quick, pretty little video. But that's what people are consuming. So that's what we need to adapt to. But it has changed a lot. And so be it. With the onset of social media, that's what people are looking for.
No, I get it.
May as well give you a shot to publicize those channels that you use. What do you use for Instagram and all the
Right. So my
social channels?
Instagram,
Go for it.
our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are Family Ski Trips. And we launched a second website, the Luxury Vacation Guide, so that Greg and I could write about luxury ski travel, also biking and boating, which we do in the off season. Biking in particular, we've become very fond of. It keeps us in good physical shape for our future ski trips, and it's a fun way to travel. So we have the Luxury Vacation Guide and Family Ski Trips. Those are our platforms.
Well, Heather, you have a second half to this venture.
I do,
You've been
and he
talking
is
about
the
you and
most
Greg.
intricate part. He plans all our trips. He takes all the photos. I would like to introduce my husband, my ski partner, Greg.
Well, as much as Doug Lewis got when he came on this podcast, just so you know, Greg, you're at that level.
I appreciate that.
Hey, welcome.
Probably not. Thank you.
Greg, thanks for joining us. Biggest question I have, what's your favorite place to have taken photos on the mountain?
Place, usually it's near the summit, at or near the summit, and usually it's first thing in the morning. And that's the light first thing in the morning. We like to be there when the lifts open, and there's nothing replaces the light first thing in the morning. Plus the lack of crowds at that time of day, lack of people in the photos, just makes it the best time to capture photos.
How long have you been doing photography, Greg?
I've been doing it since I was a kid. I had a Kodak camera and been just enjoying it. So it's been it. I just seem to have an eye for it. I hope you agree.
More importantly, your wife does.
Exactly. So you guys met at Gunstock.
We hadn't met. We were both skiing the same trails. Greg was ski instructing with my mom.
Interesting.
It's an incredible story.
Yep.
But we met at Smugglers.
My dad was the broker that sold her new stepdad the Red Fox Alpine Lodge.
Yeah.
No kidding. So
it was almost an arranged marriage.
A skiing arranged marriage. Go ahead,
I was
Doug.
the group sales director at Smuggler's Notch, and her mom was buying lift tickets from me, and she came up and introduced Heather one day to me.
My mom was eager for me to meet Greg, and then I saw him ski, and I was all in.
Can I ask you what year that was that you were group sales?
Would have been approximately 80, the mid 80s. Yeah.
The mid 80s. You ready for this? I did my internship there in 83 at Smugs.
Okay.
And he knew Steve Vance. He sent Steve.
I know Punk very well.
Punk worked. I hired Steve at his first job at Smuggler's Notch.
Okay. And Scott Tobin and I lived at the chalet at the base of Madonna. Scott, of course, is gone,
right.
But
no longer with us.
He was an incredible person.
He was. He's definitely missed sorely. What a sweetheart of a person.
But well, I've got a question for both of you. We're talking about FamilySkiTrips.com. What is the most memorable trip that you and your kids have ever taken?
Well, I'm going to go back to our first major trip, I think, where we flew into Denver. We rented a car, drove to Copper Mountain that night, stayed in Copper, went out skiing that day. Our son couldn't handle the altitude.
He had terrible altitude
He was vomiting all over. But then we continued on that night to Snowmass and a couple days at Snowmass, and then we went to the Ritz-Carlton Aspen for a couple of days. And then we continued back and we went to Vail for 2 days, and then Keystone it was 10 days, like Copper, Vail, Snowmass, Aspen Highlands, Beaver Creek, Keystone, seven or 8 areas in 10 days with the kids. They were like 6 and 7.
Wow.
So,
or 5 and 6.
after the first, altitude sickness issue, how did you combat that going forward? For those of us who have never gone out west,
drink water, lots of water. And our son looked at me at one point when I was making him drink so much water. He said, "But Dad, when I drink the water, I have to pee, and you don't like it when I stop all the time." Like, son, I don't mind. We can stop.
Right. So we would now start hydrating well before the days prior. Really overhydrate.
A couple days prior.
And eat well and get your rest. Those are important.
And these days at the high altitude resorts, they sell the oxygen things as well.
Yeah, those are pretty handy, those little cans. You can let us see them save other people.
Well, can the two of you give us a quick thought on a family leaving Boston or Hartford for their first trip out west? Give us the best spot. We're going to take the two meccas. Colorado, best spot in Colorado for them to go. Best spot in Utah.
Well, and you just hit right on. Is those are the two best places when you're traveling with family to go, because you can get a direct flight from Boston to Salt Lake or Denver. That's key. Not having to drag kids through the airport. That we did our first several years until we'd skied all of Colorado and Utah. We did nothing but flying into Salt Lake and Denver. And then I mean, it's just to say one, it's like so many great ones, right? In Colorado, Vail is obviously the ultimate. Copper's a great vacation. Aspen's an amazing vacation. Snowmass and Aspen Highlands and Aspen. Steamboats you're not going to be disappointed if you go to Steamboat for a week. Breckenridge Breckenridge is a tricky mountain to figure out, but once you do figure it out, it's a fun and that's a great town. That for families, just a great town in Breckenridge. So many, and then over in
Flying into Salt Lake is so convenient. You're in the mountains, Drive, and you've got City, you've got Deer Valley, Snowbird, Alta, and Snow Basin. So many ski areas that you can ski so easily.
Yeah, Snow Basin and Powder are two of the most underrated. Snowbird, we always like doing our ski safaris. So for instance, Snowbird and Alta kind of have to be combined in our book. They're just, well, you can ski between the two as well these days. But Brighton and Solitude are in the same canyon, and they're a half hour from Snowbird and Alta.
Yeah.
And Park City and Deer Valley have to be done together. Powder Mountain and Snow Basin. Too many options.
No, there really are. And, I think about Utah and taking a family up to Deer Valley. It is so well groomed, so well taken care of. Once you get a taste of a Deer Valley or Beaver Creek, it's everything else is tough to raise it to that level.
the only thing missing is the red carpet.
And I think that slopeside lodging really is a key component for a first-time family going out west. Not having to jump on public transportation, or dad has to straight car. Slopeside lodging, you do pay a bit of a premium, but you meals. Having the condo is just has been a lifesaver, particularly when the kids are younger. It really that much easier.
And I think the tip on the condo and being able to cook is a good one too,
Do
because
laundry.
not a hotel, but a condominium where you can cook and stay in. And
Skiing, they have access to that and don't have to deal with transportation. It just makes the trip that much more enjoyable, especially for your first days out west.
Greg,
And in the east, too. Yeah.
we heard from Heather a little bit ago. Where would you keep it locally? Where would you, that first family vacation, where in New England, where would you take the family?
The Hotel Mount Washington's a special place in Bretton Woods.
Oh, beautiful.
And Sugar Bush is a little more challenging for families, I guess, but they've got the good slopeside stuff up those condos. I was group sales director back in 1982 there, so those condos were getting old then. But they've got the location,
Right,
and great mountain.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah, So there again, the Sunday River has everything. Sugarloaf is an adventure. Saddleback became one of our favorite mountains in recent years.
They're doing wonderful things up at Saddleback right now. But, once again, you just talked about slopes side. It's going to take time for them to get to that level where Sugarloaf already has slopes side.
But not much of a village per se.
Yeah. It's all different. But Heather, I've got to say, you said about romance, and Greg just brought it up. I couldn't imagine a more romantic spot than the Mount Washington Hotel to take somebody.
It's such a grand old place from the 1920s.
Another great first timer, I think, would be Jackson, New Hampshire, and Black Mountain making
Love
a comeback. You got Black Mountain, Cranmore, Wildcat right there. So there's I think those are ones people don't think of.
I would agree. Well, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I mean,
Thank you. They applied for a job with us, but I declined their
hey,
resume.
no, Greg, you weren't on. She hired us. Okay, don't worry about the cost.
We have new baggage.
I have so many people that want to carry her bags.
Okay, all it's going to cost you is the plane ticket and the lift ticket. Everything else we'll take care of ourselves. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
And we'll take care of everything for you.
And the Alps skis on you as well. Perfect.
Yeah, well, I'll even bring you. I'll bring you new skis and everything to ski on. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
It's all done. Well, we want to thank you both for coming on. This was actually a lot of fun.
Really fun.
Yeah.
We
Thank
love
you.
talking about skiing so much. Thank you.
Well,
Pleasure to meet you both.
yeah,
Thanks for having me.
and Greg, I guarantee we have met at Smugs.
I'm 100% sure. If you were there in 83, you said
83, yeah.
might have been the year I got there. I think that's the year I got there from Sugarbush.
So that it's just
We might have just 83, 84 winter, I think.
Gotcha. Well, it was Smugs is home to me. It's still one of the great mountains that hasn't been caught up in commercialization in any way.
No. Well, that's
No,
for sure.
those chairlifts have not thought up at all.
So
They
it's
still like the romantic twosomes there.
Right?
it's the way it's supposed to be. That's when we talk about romance and skiing, the double chair was the
20
romance.
minutes of a captured audience. Absolutely.
You couldn't get away. Either you made it or didn't on one chairlift. Well, we want to thank you both for coming on. I hope you guys have a fantastic winter. 58 new ski areas.
It's gonna be a lot of slogging for you.
That's the plan.
Yeah, you know what? Don't worry about it. My wife said I've got the winter off to slog your bags around.
Okay, perfect.
Look forward to hearing about it.
Yes, have a great winter and Merry Christmas to both
Merry
of you.
Well, follow us on
Christmas to you,
social
and-
media. It's going to be an adventure.
Think snow.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy
Thanks, guys.
holidays.
If you want to be inspired and informed on everything about the New England ski and outdoor scene, then you need to check out skijournal.com. Skijournal.com delivers daily content on breaking industry news, tips, gear, dining, travel, entertainment, as well as all archived episodes of the Emmy-nominated New England Ski Journal TV show and the Basecamp Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to New England Ski Journal, the longest-running regional ski magazine in the country. New England Ski Journal's award-winning writers and photographers bring all 4 seasons to your door with best-in-class coverage on skiing and the outdoors. Log on to skijournal.com and click on the subscribe button to get New England Ski Journal mailed to you today. New England Ski Journal is a Seamans Media publication. Seamans Media. Inspiring, informative, insightful.
Well, Keith, are you going home and hopping on the internet to start researching through FamilySkiTrips.com?
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things. Like I've been meaning to find a way to make that. How am I going to go out west? Where should I look? And how will it best suit my family's needs and all that stuff? That's kind of what she does. That hits the nail on the head. She kind of pairs you with a mountain. Like you tell her what you're looking for. She gives you a couple ideas. This is a good mountain for you. Don't go to this one. This is one that'll be up your alley. It's having boots on the ground.
Well, like I said, when you go to Yelp, you don't know who's giving responses.
Absolutely.
Okay, you really don't. And it could be somebody that was a jerk to the resort or to the restaurant or whatever else, rather than somebody that understands what they're looking at. And I think what this gives you is the ability to trust somebody to give you true feedback rather than, oh, I just don't like the way that guy looks, so I'm going to give him a bad review.
Right. Yeah. Yelp reviews, I can't even say I've flipped on Yelp, but it's just like, it's one of those things. When it comes to reviews, who's putting out the review and what do they stand to gain? Or what are they trying to pump up a resort? Are they trying to knock down a resort? Are they a disgruntled former employee just wanting to stick it to their former boss?
Or they're having a bad day.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or did they just have a day with bad conditions where if it had been a nice day, they would have loved the place?
Sure. I mean, a big thing I took out of this, you just said about going out west.
Yes.
And I am super glad Heather mentioned this. 30% reduction in cost right now going over the border. You remember when we had Steve Wright on?
Yes.
And Steve stated they take Canadian dollar at face value?
Yes, and that's why.
Because
they would never get a Canadian visitor.
Exactly. So I just look at this, Canada's right over the border.
Yes.
And I promise we will have the Eastern Townships on here at some point because there are options out there. If you don't have the Mega Pass, how do you afford to go skiing and ski more often? That is the way to do it.
Yeah, those Eastern Townships with that go-kart, that's pretty impressive little setup that they have.
Right.
And that is among my little spots that I might be hitting up for a week at some point during the season. I can tell you there'll be no flying this year, but the idea is to plant the seeds, which is, it's kind of disappointing that you have to plan this far in advance for a family ski trip. But the idea of what are my handful of options when I do sit down in the late spring, just after I drop all the money to renew my passes and all that, get those couple places up and running and just finally decide, all right, this is going to be the spot.
Well, she mentioned someplace, and I brought it up again. Go up to Quebec City.
Absolutely.
Because I challenge everybody. Go up there. First off, I think skiing's more than just a ski day. It's the culture that goes with it. And that's why I asked about Western culture. But the culture up at Quebec City, it is just to die for. The food, the opera, but the two mountains, the predominant mountains right up there, are just unbelievable skiing. And thank you, Heather, for bringing those up. Heather and Greg, that was fantastic. We are going to carry your bags.
That's right.
Okay.
You just tell us when you're flying. We'll be ready.
We'll be ready to go. And, you know, we want to hear about the 58 new ski areas you're skiing this year, because that's an amazing situation.
Yeah, I hope to get 58 days in, let alone all at new places.
Exactly. Well, that's going to be it for this episode of the Basecamp Podcast. We look forward to you joining us next week on our weekly podcast. We'll talk to you soon.
New England Ski Journal's Basecamp is a Seamans Media podcast. Seamans Media. Inspiring, informative, insightful.